As a huge fan of the Game of Thrones series, and with the disappointment behind Game Point's struggles of never releasing their MMO for their series, I would like to give 7 reasons why a proper client-based MMO should appear for Game of Thrones. Kicking it off at number 7, of course we all know the lore behind Game of Thrones is crazy. There's an immense amount of lore. Game of Thrones has one of the most immersed and interesting storylines to follow, and it isn't even following one or a few characters. There are tons of storylines simultaneously progressing. Fans would go absolutely crazy over the lore of the game, attempting at trying to complete everything throughout the game because of the wonderful storylines. Of course, the MMO might not follow these storylines exactly the same, but they would definitely be worked in. And if characters had to choose a family or a background, I'm sure there would definitely be people going crazy with tons of alts. Together, the books and the show would definitely help develop a wonderful path that players would be able to choose to build their character according to the events that are put into it. Moving over to number 6, the fight would never end. Wouldn't you want to raid some White Walkers or attempt to hold the line against the overflowing of the Free Folk? Maybe you just want to become a servant much like Arya has, or spend your time as a pirate on the open seas. There are so many possibilities to how a player would be able to choose how to play their own game and style. Maybe you don't want to lead an army, maybe you enjoy cooking, stuff like that. The world of Game of Thrones seems like it could have hundreds of jobs for players to take part in. And remember, the scepter always has someone watching, so if you choose to sin, the gods will repay you for your sins and leave your character in deep regret with some serious consequences. We have the wonderful and beautiful landscape of the world that is Game of Thrones. Now, George R. R. Martin created a world like nothing else. He created some of the most expansive and eye-drooping landscapes that we have seen throughout the TV show, as well as we have read from the books. But a game in this world would make fans of the series remain in awe because they are developing a character in the world of where they were only able to read about it or see the TV show as it develops. Interactive play is so much more intriguing than watching a reading for a lot of people, not everyone, but of course. And being able to play in Westeros would be absolutely insane. Imagine being able to hop onto a horseback just to ride through the Vale, or see the disgust from the poor outside of King's Landing and glancing up to meet the eyes of the king and the queen walking through the streets just to greet them. At number 4, imagine just being able to rule the North or have the opportunity to fight under the name of the Starks. I would love to cut the throat of Ramsay Bolton after fighting for hours on end. Fighting where the characters of the series actually fought. How sick would that be? Being immersed in the world of Game of Thrones would be more amazing than words can actually describe. But putting up effort to build your own hero that could be on par with some of the characters in the series, and seeing them and being able to discuss things with them, how sick would that be? Nothing like the battles in Game of Thrones have met in an MMO. Of course, you have games with large open scale fights, or maybe instance battlegrounds or something like that, but nothing would be like these large political fights. And I think the game would feature very large scale fights that would go on for hours on end, giving the players the feeling of being in the show or the book. At number 3, we have politics. What is better than the cutthroat world of the battling families, always strategically marrying to combine houses for power, or maneuvering in such ways to gain popularity or power? If you could be someone who attains the power, the amount of pressure on you is huge and would really make for some interesting conversations between players in game who are looking for the same thing, that is power. Now, conquering land together with other players, or even keeping your ear to the streets, could definitely create for some cool gameplay other than just killing, drinking, and having sex. But, of course, we're all looking for the sex. Coming in at number 2, animal interaction. I know what you're probably thinking, why would animal AI matter? Well, in Game of Thrones, there are tons of awesome relationships that actually stem between animals and humans. This could potentially create a new dynamic of pets being more important in MMOs, other than just like having a pet for cosmetic reasons, or just having the best pet for fighting and defeating enemies. Just imagine how epic a close-up would be with Daenerys' dragons, and being able to control your own dragons or a direwolf or whatever you desire. There is more than just human-to-human interaction, and in a world such as Game of Thrones, that George R. R. Martin was able to gap how people actually treat the animals, other than just having them just to gain more power in game, I would love to be able to see direwolves or these animals by my side to interact with, especially if I was alone by myself on an adventure. Flying on a dragon after days of completing some of the hardest missions and jobs to gain a huge and eye-dropping dragon would be epic. What more would you want? Would you want to see these affectionate animals by your side on your adventure in Game of Thrones if it was a game? Here it is, our number 1, conquering the Iron Throne and ruling Westeros. Who could be the one true ruler? If Game of Thrones had the opportunity to give players the ability to attain higher ranks or special ranks even in armies, as well as attain the ultimate title of ruling the Iron Throne, a more hardcore game by today's standards it would be, and it could really develop into players trying to conquer more land and become successful, and bring back the multiplayer that has seemed to be missed in most of the new MMOs coming out nowadays. Fighting together with thousands of people in an army, strategically attacking or fortifying castles in order to win a battle or a war, what could be more fun? Think about like a total war game as an MMO that each individual character was controlled and they all came together just to make a difference and try to win a war or a battle together. Alright, that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you guys want to see a Game of Thrones MMO eventually come out and not big points disappointment. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you guys did, make sure to hit all the links and follow up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.